I don't believe that anybody sat me down and said, now, I assume you know that the Boston Symphony and the New York Philharmonic does not take women. But it was just somehow understood that they didn't. I was happy to be auditioning for any place. And it never occurred to me to say, hey, why can't I audition for the Boston Symphony or the New York Philharmonic? The first cellist that got accepted in the New York Philharmonic, and I don't know exactly how old she is, but she must be at least 10, 12 years younger than I am. And by then, women were beginning to be hired there. Now, Boston took much longer. When I was finally accepted, I was sent a contract to play the Houston Symphony, and they sent me a picture of what I was supposed to wear to play in the orchestra. And the top was like a man's tuxedo with shiny lapels, and this was way before pantsuits were acceptable. And it wasn't pants, but it was a skirt that was at least full enough to spread your legs around a cello, because that is not exactly a feminine stance, and there were, lots of people who just didn't want to play the cello for that reason. When I took a look at the picture, I said, I'm not going to Houston. If they want to hire a man, let them hire a man, but if they're hiring me, I don't want to have to wear that thing. I, who was not married, wanted a cello position. They would have to pay me a little more than if it was a husband and wife team. That was one of the first times, I think, that I began to realize the inequity. Women didn't think in those terms. It was still, you went from your father's home to your husband's home and had a family. I mean, this was more I don't know what the word is, but the way people felt and the way they thought life should fall into place. I applied for Fresno State in California. They had a resident piano trio, piano, violin, and cello. And I thought, gee, I think this would be really fun. I know the repertoire pretty well. I would like to do this. So they heard my tape, and I got responses about, oh, we think you play well, and we're very interested in you. Then one day I got a letter in the mail. It was a letter, not a phone call. And the letter said, we would like very much to hire you. We like the way you play, and your experience seems to fit the opportunity that we have. But the wives of the other two musicians in the string trio, we don't think they would like it if we hired a woman. So by the time I got to New York, I understood a whole lot better what was going on. It took a year or two to develop the contacts, to meet the contractors, to know enough people to be hired to play a Broadway show or a concert series or something. Mini skirts came in, I would say, in the late 50s, early 60s, and it was a nightmare. I mean, if you were performing on a flat surface, but if you were raised up on a stage, this was not pretty. I mean, I hated it. And so when pantsuits became popular, this was wonderful. Well, I saw a picture of a cello and heard the sound, and I was 10 years old in the 4th grade, and I really fell in love with it. And I think I decided immediately what I was going to do with my life. And interestingly enough, I did it. I wanted to play in a symphony orchestra. I wanted to eventually move to New York, tour, do all kinds of things that sounded fun to me at the age of 10, and they were indeed fun.